My name is Scott Abrahams from Mastercard, and welcome to this session entitled The Power of Partnerships. I'm delighted to be joined today by Nathalie Oestmann from Curve. Before we get any further, I think we'll do some brief introductions. And Nathalie, please, could you introduce yourself?
Sure, thanks, Scott. My name's Nathalie Oestmann. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at a London fintech called Curve. We'll talk a bit about what Curve's about. So yeah, I'll leave it at that for now.
Thank you, Nathalie. It's great to have you here today. Yes, so my name is Scott Abrahams. I'm SVP of Business Development UK, Ireland, Mastercard. What that basically means is I look after a number of our lines of business in the United Kingdom and Ireland, but one of my main focus is on prepaid, fintech, e-money licensed businesses such as Curve, and it's a pleasure that Curve agreed to join me today on this virtual call regarding the power of partnership. So Nathalie, we've been talking a little bit, and the first question as you join me by the fireside is, you know, in terms of, from your perspective, from both from a personal perspective and from a Curve perspective, what are the key things you're looking for in a partnership? What's important?
So being that we're in the payment space, we have lots of partners, and obviously Mastercard is one of our most important partners. And we do have, Scott, let's be honest, a very special relationship. We highly value everything that you've done to help Curve become the company that it is today with 1.3 million customers. We couldn't have done it without you. But if I were to break it down into what makes our partnership so special, I think I can give a few pointers. The first is we have shared values. We're technology-oriented companies. We speak the same way, and we want the same things. We want to bring innovation to the marketplace. The second thing is very open lines of communications. I can call you or anybody else, Eduardo Volta or Renata, who are our day-to-day contacts, and tell them anything I need to. I have a very open relationship. So does Shahar Bialik, our CEO, as well as the rest of the Curve team. And that really helps. There's nothing veiled. We just talk about what we need to do to advance the business. And with those things, there ends up also being a huge amount of trust. Now, that trust comes from a very long-standing relationship at all levels of the organization, from New York through to London, but it also has become personal. We enjoy being around you. We are friends. We know that we are working towards the same thing, and that really brings us to a very different level, which I think is great. And then the last one I'll put two in as the last one, which is flexibility and agility. We're a fintech, so flexibility and agility is the most important thing for us. We need to move fast, and oh, by the way, we sometimes change our mind, which isn't always easy. But it's just the way that we work. We like to throw things out and see if it's going to stick. And you've been very helpful in getting us to where we need to and helping us to try things.
Well, first of all, it's great to hear that. You know, from a personal perspective, as you know, Nathalie, you and I, we've known each other for a little bit of time, and it's interesting. I think from a Mastercard perspective, you know, we have, you know, we're compared to Curve, we're a much older company, of course, and we're very proud of so many long-standing partnerships that we have, both in the UK and around the world. I think what excites me about our partnership and our approach to partnerships in general, and I think this hopefully comes through clearly with Curve, is that you know, you mentioned there it's been quite a long-standing relationship. Well, you know, in Mastercard world, it hasn't really, right? You know, it's yeah. You know, you, and I mean that in a very respectful way. Yeah. It's, you know, you and many of your you know, many other fintechs that we look after in the UK, you know, so many, you have such great visions of how you're going to expand both into different products and also, of course, different parts of the world. And so I think, you know, our approach has been to try and bring that approach to those long-standing relationships that we have with our partners that we've had for a long time, and at the same time bring that, and also of course look at it in terms of how agile we can be, how innovative we can be, and also at the same time try and have some fun, right? Working with Curve is fun. And I think if you don't have those personal relationships and a foundation of those personal relationships, it can quite often not be fun, right, Nathalie? And but you know, those were certainly.
We've had our moments where it's not so fun, but when we get through it.
You speak for yourself, Nathalie. I've always enjoyed it, every second. Yeah, right.
There are hard things we need to do sometimes, right?
Exactly.
And that's fine.
Exactly. And you know, we also value as Mastercard the fact that, you know, and this comes from Shaka downwards, that there's a genuine desire to build long-standing partnerships with your partners. You can see that, and we really appreciate that. It makes it easier for me to do my job if that's the approach that Curve has. But you know, enough backslapping, Nathalie. You know, I know you're brilliant. You know I'm brilliant. We could just stop there. But we could also talk a little bit about perhaps, you know, where we are now, and from a partnership perspective, not just perhaps necessarily just related to Curve and Mastercard. You know, what are the things that Curve feels it needs from partnerships now and in the future? And you know, and I'm quite happy to get feedback in terms of where Mastercard needs to up its game as well. But I'd be interested to get some feeling in terms of, you know, as you look to the growth that you need to continue to deliver, you know, what are those things that from a partnership you need in the future?
Can I give a bit of a historic for those who are listening, just about how we kind of evolved together? Because, you know, in the early days, and it was even pre me being at Curve, this was Shahar working with you and with Eduardo, as well as Sherry in the US. We came with a very different model, right? Our over-the-top banking platform and the way that we're set up does not disintermediate the banks at all. We say your bank is where you decide you want to keep your money, but we have a platform that allows you to see, spend, send, and save, right? So it helps you to manage all of your finances. And that model is new. And actually, you know, back in the day, I think it'd be fair to say that not everybody really understood it at Mastercard, what we were doing. And, you know, it took a lot of discussions for people to start to understand what this new platform was. You know, that you aggregate multiple cards, and so what, you know, there were a lot of those models, but they, you know, once they understood that it was a type of open banking platform, it required some changes at Mastercard. And I think once, and by the way, I think you have also been able to, from those changes that you have made, in order to accommodate our model, I think you've also been able to get other bits of business, which I think is great for Mastercard, and go for it, right? Of course, you should capitalize on the innovation that you do. But I think that's a really important element, and something that I don't want anybody to forget, which is Mastercard, we're going to keep pushing you to do things that you never did before, because we come up with these new ideas. We see how our platform will evolve. We have some very ambitious goals, and I would like you to keep doing that. I think that would be my first thing, right? Is just please keep listening to us and adapting to what we need, because actually at the end we're both meeting consumers' needs. Because that's what we're after, right? We're after giving customers all the control in their hands. Mastercard, as well as, you know, as any fintech grows to be larger, and then it's a scale up, and then it's becoming a real company, I think we have to always continue to be agile. And I think, you know, Mastercard is continuing to do that. One of my call outs would be, when we can, it's a request, when we can, when things open up again, you know, bring us all together, bring all of your fintech partners together. We talk to each other anyways, but, you know, give us a forum to talk about the Mastercard environment and what things have worked for other fintech. I would love that. So I guess my call out to you is, when we can, bring us together so that we can have some discussions. I think that would be fabulous.
Well, that's a dream of ours anyway, isn't it? In
Yeah.
general in life, Natalie, let alone actually that type of event. And
Yeah.
indeed, yeah, we did. You know, without going too far, we had some things under consideration actually at the start of this year, planned. You know, around about now, actually, to be honest, this time of year. In well, actually, not necessarily in August, probably more in September after the peak of the summer holidays. But that's a really good. I think you know, that's really good. And I know the pressure that I feel that I'm under is twofold, from your partnership and also from others. It's continuing to be agile, continuing to listen, and because you're absolutely right, of all of our partners, Curve has been one of those ones that has continually pushed us in directions that certainly at the start felt a little uncomfortable, right? In terms of new business models, new ways of transacting that we weren't necessarily.
Yeah.
Certainly, there was nothing on the shelf that said, "Oh yeah, just do it that way," you know, Mr. and Mrs. Curve. So that's the first thing. We will continue to do that, and indeed, you know, that flexibility, as you say, it leads, I think, to Mastercard being more successful in other parts of the world. I think the other thing that we're trying to do, I'm trying to do, and others in the team are trying to do, and I think this is something that all partnerships between a big company and a a smaller company need to focus on. You know, my job is to make this big company look a bit more simple to you. Right? You know, there's a lot of different people behind me, whether it's compliance and AML and KYC, or franchise or risk, the commercial activities, product. The list goes on and on. And Mastercard aren't. We don't have a monopoly in that. You know, I suppose way of being structured. You know, I put a lot of pressure on myself and my team to not bother our partners with that, right? And we do
And I
sometimes, of
can tell
course
you
we
you're
do.
successful, right? Eduardo Volta and Renata Mora, who deal with us every day, they don't let us see all of that. And I think that is, you bring up a really good point. They are our points of contact to your wider organization. And while I know how to work in an enterprise, highly matrix, big company,
Yes, yeah,
many of my colleagues at Curve do not. And it does, it cuts through the noise. You take
yeah.
that pain away from us. So I agree with
I,
you,
I
Scott.
I
That's true.
I was gonna make that point, Natalie, in terms of, you know, you've got no, and
Yeah.
I mean it very, you know, you've got fantastic experience at both ends of the spectrum, right? Obviously, you know, your experience in big corporates, you know, and big multinational companies not headquartered in the UK as well, which I think also has some interesting things sometimes as well. And then, you know, this small but really assertive and exciting company that you're now at. And I think, you know, I think from that perspective, you can see it from all sides. And hopefully, I'm sure, well, I know actually, you bring things to Curve because of that experience that adds a lot
Yeah.
of value to their business as well, right? That's why
Yeah,
you
we're
have this
growing.
job.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely. We're
exactly.
growing.
And that's the thing. So I suppose in terms of, so what does the future hold for Curve, Natalie, and what does the future hold for, you know, our partnership, if you like? I'm sure people
Yeah.
watching today will be really interested. You know, they followed the Curve journey very closely. We
Yeah.
followed it as Mastercard very closely as well. You know, what's next? What's on the horizon?
So, I mean, let me just give you one thing that we've done earlier this year that I'm very proud of, and then you'll see how it rolls out. But you know, we worked with Apple Pay, and we've launched Apple Pay across all of Europe, all
Yep.
of the EEA actually. And I think that's a really important one because we're an over-the-top platform. You know, you can consolidate multiple cards onto that platform, any card that works on the Visa or MasterCard rails. So that's really exciting because not all banks in all EEA countries are signed up for Apple Pay, and Curve is. So you can integrate your card onto Apple, and then it basically opens up the world, regardless of whether the bank has put that agreement in place.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about that. And by the way, you helped us as well because, like MasterCard, in the early days at Apple, they didn't really understand our model either. And together, you guys understood it. We helped them to
Yeah.
understand it. And they were like, oh, this is great. Okay. And so we have that partnership with Apple. So that's one of the things that, we did earlier. But in terms of the future, so first is we've got America. We're coming to America. We've picked our office. It's in Brooklyn. We're starting to hire. We're putting things in place. We're working very closely with the teams in New York to figure out an product construct that's never existed before.
Yeah.
So it's different in America. So we're doing that. I think our proposition will work very, very well in America because Americans have multiple cards in their wallet, like a lot. And I think this kind of model will work. We also have Curve Credit, which is an installment product after your point of sale purchase has been made. One of the things that we realized, Scott, is the power of our platform is go back in time, where and I've said this to Apple as well. When people believe that when they're at the till, you need to decide at that moment which card you're going to use, whether you're paying with your Apple, Pay or your any other pay, or whether you're pulling a card out of your wallet. That decision is final once you've tapped or put the card in. But why? And at Curve, we removed that. You can change what payment card afterwards. Oh my gosh, I forgot there was a great deal with my bank. I just bought these shirts at whatever shop, and I could get £5 back. Oh, I'll switch it over to that and I'll take advantage. Or I put it on our joint account. I should have put it on my personal account. So it's things like that. And our customers love go back in time. They are able to switch around, and they have a lot more flexibility. So the same is going to happen with Curve Credit. I want to make this purchase. I've made the purchase. Now let me decide how many, how can I take a loan out, so to speak, and pay for it over a period of time, because that will make it less painful for me. All of these things can be done afterwards, and you can make those decisions afterwards. And I think that that's really, really powerful for the product. So you're going to be helping us. We're going to be going into the US with this Curve Credit proposition. And also, given the economic times now, I think that's going to be really helpful. The other thing that I'm really excited about is we're a principal member of Mastercard.
Indeed,
so
you
we
are.
now
Indeed, you
an
are.
issuer with you.
Yes.
I feel like I've grown up, and I'm part of,
A warm welcome anyway, Natalie, on that. A warm welcome.
Yeah. So that's really exciting. And then the other one is we have just announced together a partnership with Samsung Pay, and we're going to be launching together the Samsung Pay card. So that's a 3-party collaboration that we're doing. I'm really excited about it. It's the first of its kind in Europe. There's not been any other wallet cards. And we've packed it with a lot of really interesting features and functionality and goodies. So that will be coming soon. I can't give you an exact date, but it is coming soon, and I'm really, really excited about that, and I know you are as well.
Yeah.
So those are some of the things that we have going on right now. I mean,
it's amazing, isn't it? That's just one partnership, right? All of those things. And I think, and one of my other roles is I sit on the advisory board for the Emerging Payments Association with Tony. And one of the things, and hopefully people hear this from me a lot, we as Mastercard, and me personally, but we as Mastercard are so proud of our business in London, in the UK. And we're so proud of the customers in the fintech space that we have. I'm quite, me, Natalie, I'm quite competitive by nature. You wouldn't be successful in these types of jobs if you weren't, I would argue. And there's a lot of internal competition here, right? I want our partners in the UK, of which you're, of course, clearly very important, but I've got some others as well, Natalie, as you know. And I just want those. There's plenty of space for success, right? I want those to go through the Mastercard franchise in different parts of the world, different products, different product lines, etc. And to hear you talk about what you've done here in London across Europe and how you're looking to take that to different parts of the world and also widen your product set is incredibly exciting for me personally, and exciting for Mastercard overall. And so,
Yeah.
you know, I'd just like to thank you for your business, thank you for your partnership, and you know, it's something we truly value. And you know, here's to an exciting future.
Absolutely. I'm also equally thankful, Scott. You've made us who we are today, and we're really excited about the future with you.
Well, I think we've done a tiny amount. I wouldn't go say we've made you who you are, but yeah, you've done a lot of that yourself. I don't think I'd be that that presumptive. But thank you, Nathalie. I've really enjoyed speaking to you, and
Yeah.
have a great day. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Scott.